Hi everyone, this is Marcy, and I thought I would do a demonstration of one of my Halloween beads. I don't have a really good name for it because some people think it's a little Grim Reaper-ish. I think it's just kind of a spooky bead, but maybe one of you can decide what would work best for a name. The first thing I'm going to do is heat up my 1/16 mandrel. For those of you who don't do glass, the 1/16 mandrel is quite slim. You can see it's one of the skinnier ones that we use. And I have my black effigy that I'm putting on the mandrel, and we're going to start off from the bottom. A lot of times I work from bottom to top. And so I'm putting on first my first run of glass. And it's going to get just kind of basically the length of the first part of the spooky beads. It's not exactly a dress, a robe, maybe that's what we should call it. So I'm giving him a little bit of length, and I'll marver it on my graphite marver. And the marver not only shapes things, but it cools it down, the glass down also, so it's a little bit easier to work with. And what I'm going to be going for is kind of like a modified cone. I'm going to keep it on the slimish side because I don't want him to be too wide. I'd like him to be kind of medium size. So as you know, the black glass is one of the stiffest glasses that we use when it's melting. But glass when it's molten kind of reminds me of thick honey. I really enjoy working with it. But it's kind of stretchy and nice. The glasses that's softer are more the opaque colors, like white or pastels. The lighter they are, usually the softer they are when they melt, and kind of the gooier they are also. I'm going to add a little bit more. And what I'm doing is just getting the basic shape in. I can modify it after I press it. But this just kind of gets the basic sizing in there. And then I'm marvering it again on my graphite marver. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more right at the bottom because it was kind of rounding up a little bit, and I want the bottom to be at least, I don't want it headed going upwards at all. I want it to be either flat or going down, which I can add glass for that also. So I've got basic length, and I'm going to be adding on a head and a hoodie kind of afterwards. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glass and keep it thin, and that's going to be where the head connects to, kind of like a turtleneck. And I'm marvering it just on the end so that it stays nice and thin, so when I add the head on, it's not too large. So now I'm going to heat this glass, and then I'm going to use my parallel mashers to flatten it a little bit. The reason why I flatten even figures a little bit, I don't do it always, but a lot of the time, is because they tend to lay a little bit better when somebody's wearing them. So I'm just flattening it a little bit. You can see there, that's a good width. And we'll just leave it like that until we decide. Now what I'm doing next is I'm putting it back into the flame. I'm not sure whether you can see the chill marks that are on there, but whenever you press it with metal, hot glass, then you get something, it looks almost like a patterning of the cold, and you want to get that off and make the glass smooth again, or at least in this instance we do. So we've got that there now, and next I'm going to add a head, and you can do it one of two ways. You can add a black head and then just add a circle for the face and bring the hoodie edge around it, or you can add a green head and then cover the back. I think it's easiest if we add black for the head, and then we'll put the green face on top of it. I need to make it big enough because I've got some special marini for the eyes, and I need to have it large enough that will work. So I'm just adding glass. You can see I left a little spot between where the head is and where the body is. a lot of the glass will migrate down there eventually, but this gives just a tiny bit more definition, which I like. So now I'm just going around, and it's going to be circular. Now I need to be large enough for the face to go on it, and I can always add a little bit more for the rest of the body, whatever I need. And again, we're going to press it, and we'll see whether it's large enough. And it's just a gentle press. Yeah, that's big enough. I can add a head onto there, a face, and the face is going to be out of this green. And it isn't Dirty Martini, but it's kind of along that lines, and I think it's one of the old Vetrafont colors. I'm not sure. Maybe that light olive ELO or whatever it's called. That might be what it is. I got a whole bunch of it when it was on sale, and it makes a really good spooky bead face. So I'm still turning my bead. Oops, that fell off. And we have two options. We can heat more up, or we can pick it up. And seeing that my desktop is clean, might as well pick it up and reuse it. So I'm still heating up the glass, and I don't need a whole lot because I'm going to press it relatively flat, but I want to round it up a little bit first. And I'm keeping the bead warm. So I'm going to heat where I'm going to put the glass, because hot glass to hot glass forms a much better seal. And I push down and pull back up again. I've got a little more than I need, so I'm going to take some off of there. And I do that just by using my cooler rod and pulling it back out, and then I'll have a nice stringer for what I need later on. And I'm watching the color of the green for the face as it's cooling, so I know when I want to flame cut it. And there we go, and we'll get rid of that, and we'll let that cool, that little stringer. And we'll heat the back while the green face is setting up a bit, and then I'll heat it from below and press it. And I like to use my old brass stump shaper. I've had this for about 15 years now, one of my earlier tools, and I always love it. So I was holding my bead upside down, or I can hold it below the flame, and just heat up primarily the green glass for the face. I'm going to press it down a bit, and it spreads it out, of course, and it rounds it up if I press it pretty evenly. So there you see we've got a nice big face, and we needed the big face because I kind of have big eyes that are going to be going on it. What I have are some Marini. There's one, you can see, whoops, kind of wiggling its way down, and two. And the really fun ones that I got from, I can't remember the name of the company. I'll add it in later if I can, or put it in the notes somewhere. They're from Murano Millefiori, I think is the name of the company, and I like them very much. I got them a couple of years ago, so I'm not sure, and I kind of saved them for the Halloween time or when I need spooky eyes. They're black with white, and then around the edges of the white there's a little bit of purple and pink, and it's translucent, so it makes pretty good spooky eyes. So the first one, I'm going to heat out the base of it way in the edge of my flame, so it's warm but not melted. Oops, that wasn't good. I let go. And then I'm going to heat up the place where it's going on the face, and then I'm going to lay it down and press it down. Make sure you get it halfway over there. And I'm just pressing a little bit, and there it is, it's on. I'm going to heat the top just a tiny bit, and give it a little tap and push it in a little bit more. Okay, we've got eye number one, so we need to keep the rest of the bead warm. We're doing that, and I'm grabbing my tweezers, and I'm going to get the other Marini off of the top of my marver. And keep the bead warm, because boy, that's important. And I'm heating up the green glass and the edge of this Marini. I always have a spare Marini around because once in a while they'll crack if I put them into the flame in the wrong place or something. Okay, so this one's going in. And I heated it up, pressing it into the green. And I pushed down hard, but it hasn't gone down quite low enough. I'm going to heat up the rest of the bead because it's rather thin. And then I'm going to heat up at the bottom of the Marini just a little bit and press down. And I'm going to keep doing that for a little while until it evens up a little bit more with the other Marini. If you heat it up too much, it will kind of turn in on itself, and that's not good. So you want to do this as a slow process. And if I keep pushing, I like that it's uneven. I could push it down a tiny bit, but I like the unevenness. I might find that the other one looks too small, which on a goofy face, that's pretty much okay. Okay, so let's heat up the back. And we're going to need to add on some sleeves to this guy and finish him up. There are more things that we need to do. We're going to see what happens there. I think that with the pink, there we go. I just needed to erase it. It reacted with too much propane, so I needed to go and add more oxygen to take care of that. It was reducing a little bit. I like that face. If I wanted to make it spookier, I could enlarge the eyes. There are a lot of things I can do to make it better, but I like this a lot. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some sleeves. And I always add the sleeve farthest away from me first, because I kind of feel that I probably have a little less coordination there. So I'm just going to go in the front, and I'm just adding a little bit of an arm right there. I don't want too much. And I take my brass stump shaper, and I press down a little bit. And I press it flat so it's like he has a cuff, because I'm going to add some little hands in there also. And then I do this. Well, how about if I add a hand in there first? If I add the hand in there first, then I can know how much room I have for the second sleeve. Sometimes I put both sleeves in at once, and then I don't have room for spooky fingers. So for the hand, I just add a dot right on the edge of it. And I don't want a whole lot, I just want a little bit. And sometimes I press it down just a touch. Spread it out because I want to add a couple of fingers to it. And I'm heating everything else, keeping it warm. And now I want to add some kind of wiggly fingers to it, nothing too fancy. So I'm heating up just a little bit of the green, and I touch and pull just a tiny bit. I don't want them too fancy. I just want something that looks a little, ugly. I do 3 fingers usually, and you can bend them if you want. You can keep them straight. But see how they're just kind of ugly? We'll give them a little thumb this time. Usually I don't give them thumbs, but a little thumb, a little extra finger there. Okay, so what I can see is if I put a sleeve right there, it would cover it over. So how about if I put one down a little lower and the hand will come down like that? So my next sleeve is going to come down. And we still have the hood to go also. So we're getting plenty of glass warm. A little side sleeve, and we're going to heat up where it starts. I'm going to start it on the edge here and have it go down just a little ways, because the hand will start below it, and we don't want the hand dragging on the ground. So we need, again, it's nice and attached. We can shape this if we want to shape it just a tiny bit, not too much. Keep everything warm. Have a little hand. You could have him holding something if you want. And pumpkins are very easy for creatures to hold on to. You've got your little orange ball and you're pretty much good to go. Let's make his fingers a little thinner this time. So I'm going to the very top and just pulling this down a little bit and watching for it to cool. I have a little bit of the bead release on the end, so I needed to take that off. We're keeping him warm. We're going to add a couple of fingers. Let's see, we did a thumb on the other one, so we need to add a thumb on this one too. And I always just, after I add the fingers, I hit it with just a tiny bit of heat so that it attaches well. There's one. You can always pull them out at the end if you want to, but I would start them a little bit earlier if you do that. So here's the funny thing. I put some hand lotion on right before I started this, and now my hands are all slippery. So if you see my mandrel kind of moving around a little too much, you know that is some Pond's lotion that's kind of doing a number on my fingers right now. Let's make that finger a little pointier. So I just push down on the hot end of it and pulled up a touch. Okay, so we've got some hands in green. We've got a face. It's green when it cools down. And I don't add a mouth on this. I just kind of keep going. But we need to add a hoodie around it. So the next thing we need to do is to heat up some more glass. And if this looks out of proportion to you, if you put the fingers up too high, I always leave a little room down here if I want to make them a little longer, if it seems like it isn't quite right. But one of the ways to keep the proportion right is to keep the body slim. And if the body's slim, then he looks longer. The wider it is, the more it looks like just a shirt. So I'm heating up some black glass to add some of his hood. I wanted to cover a little bit of his face and come up and around. So we want to heat the glass where we're attaching it also, right? We press down lightly and just start wrapping around his head until you run out of glass. See how it went around there? And what we'll do afterwards is shape it a little bit more. Just getting the glass down right now. And we're keeping the bead nice and warm while everything's slipping in my hand. So let's heat the glass. Well, we're going to have to stop for a sec because it looks like I had some bead release or something on that glass. So we got it out. Try it again, because what the heck, and we need to heat the glass that it needs to be attached to. There we go, and around. Okay, so we basically have a hood. He kind of looks like that guy on South Park a little bit, doesn't he? We're going to move that glass around a touch. So the first thing I'm going to do is heat him up all over, because we always need to keep him nice and warm. And just a little bit, not too much heat on the face. If you heat too much, then the Marini will change. So I'm heating the back side now because I want the top glass to flow into the bottom glass. And I want that edge of the glass to be nice and warm that I can start pushing up his hoodie into whatever shape I want. So see how we kind of covered his face a little? It kind of seems like that's the way it should be for this kind of bead. Halloween bead. I'm heating it up some more, making sure the glass flows together and pushing it up and around. And this is your chance to kind of put some shape into it also. And I would like more on the top of him, on the top of his hood. So, keeping him warm. Yeah. You hear that over and over again, don't you? That's really important. Just connecting some of the edges of the glass there. Okay. Because, if you don't have a smooth seam, it doesn't look as well as if you did. Okay, so heating them up, making sure the glass is flowing well, but not so much that it messes up the detail on the front, but heating from the back side, you can keep a lot of heat in your bead without it marring anything. You just kind of have to decide what order you want to add stuff in. And I think what I want to do is add some more up here and there and attach it well. See how it's flowing? And then what I'm doing is I'm waiting for the black to cool a little bit. And I'm giving him just one of those kind of spooky little things that go up there. I don't know what that's called, but you see them in ghosts all the time, and I'm not sure why spooks shouldn't have them also. So what we're doing is we're just picking it up and pulling it up a little bit. And we're heating the rest. So now I look at him and decide, does he need more of a hoodie? Is he fine the way he is? I kind of like him the way he is, but maybe just a touch more there coming down. There we go. Somebody said that he had minion eyes. I'm not sure that those are minion eyes from what I remember, but I understand the big bugginess of them. They're big and round. I should put him in some blue overalls. That would take care of things. I want to be sure that his hood really shows up as a hood also. So there we go. Just a little spook bead. And thank you so much for joining me, giving it one more shot of heat before it goes into the kiln. Thanks. Bye. Oops. There you go. Bye.